Shalom, party people, and welcome to the 12th Sea. This is my Streamlight Protac HL USB flashlight. I have added a light ring company, I think it's called Triton or whatever. I did have to modify this bad boy, but not so much a review on the light ring. This is more of a review on the light. 9 months of some pretty good use. They say this is 1,000 USB, or not USB, they say that this is a 1,000 lumen light. I don't know how bright it is. I honestly don't care. I just care that it is bright. I care that it actually works. Um, I like that it is micro USB rechargeable. It works. Would it be cooler if it was USB-C? Yeah, I think the new one is. But this thing actually runs. And the cool thing about this one is this is multi-fuel compatible or whatever. So you take off thread pitch in there. Here comes battery. This is Streamlight's proprietary battery. Run an 18650 in there or two CR123As, and this will void your warranty, but technically in a pinch, because there are two springs in there, you can actually run two AA batteries in there. They're going to rattle something fierce, but it will work. Like I said, that voids your warranty. I don't necessarily recommend doing that, but it works. This has three modes. You can reprogram it for whatever, but it has your normal, it has a strobe function, and then it has a dim function. With 10 taps on the back here, you can reprogram which one you want to go first. Or if you only want one of those three functions, it'll only do one of those functions. It's nice. What I like about this is that it has momentary without actually having to click it, or I can click it and it will stay on. That is a very, very useful feature in a tack light. I just run this on my back pocket with the ring on up against me, and then this sticking out. It does what I need it to do. I like having a tack light with the ring on it. Oh, cool, it's a brass knuckle. No, I don't really care about that, but I can spin it out. I can use it, do what I need to do, spin it back in. It's nice. Sometimes when I'm working, I can reach a little bit better as a corner that way and actually work the lamp in a few different ways. So it's a good work light. This is, if YouTube is watching, this is a training pistol. This is not a real firearm. So use that for what it's worth. What is nice when I draw the light, I can actually come out, I can use it one of two ways. I can spin it and actually have still a grip on my firearm. That is really, really nice. Or I can just do the FBI carry thing and do the do. One thing that I have found relatively useful is I can come up with the tack ring and I can mate side by side and still use my firearm. Still have a relative support hand that's on here, but just with my support thumb, I can push in there and it works. I would prefer a weapon light, but for not having to switch out holsters all the time, for not having to buy four different weapon lights, four different holsters, this is a it will get you by situation. So, draw, come out, and my light works. It does a function. It's a crutch. It is not a, true weapons light that I purchased. This is something that is a good tool that runs for me. This Triton or whatever, it's an aluminum setup. There is a company that makes a flashlight ring that is made out of polymer that, secures onto a light. The problem is it doesn't fit this one, and I really, really wanted this one because it checks a lot of boxes for me. I wanted multi-fuel compatible. I wanted it where it would recharge. I would prefer an easy recharge method, but if I have to take batteries out to recharge them, I will. I wanted momentary switches. I wanted a strobe function. I wanted a high function. I wanted a low function. Those things matter to me, and this one pretty well checked all the boxes. So I bought this ring like 10, 20 bucks, whatever. It being aluminum is a little annoying for what it is, but I knew that I could bend it. If you look, there is quite the gap there. I had to dehorn all of the sharp corners that were on there. I used just a little file to do that, and it's aluminum, not really worried about it corroding or doing anything stupid. And then run quite a bit of paracord through there, and everything works just nice. And it was a lot softer on my fingers. Theoretically, you can, when it's up against your finger, when it's up against your hand, you can do that. And in a tack grip, theoretically, you can, but you'll see it's a little unreliable. The reason behind that is because these protective raised edges that are on there. If I were to file them down, it would work great, and I would have a little bit better access to the tail cap switch. I kind of prefer having that element as a safety. And like I showed you earlier, when I'm typically running this as a de facto tack light or whatever, my finger pushing up against there is a very, very effective method. Plus, I still get weak hand support on the weapon when I come here. So I like that. I typically don't use this as a tack light, but it's nice to have that as an option if I need a light. Plus, I'm not married to the light on the gun, so I can do the whole FBI whoo thing on there. If you don't practice it, it doesn't work. Um, to be quite honest, I'm not using a weapons light because it's just a cost thing right now. Because holster systems that I run, multiple weapon lights, multiple holsters. It's an expense that I am not interested in at this time. Later in the future, yes, totally. And I do think you should have some kind of light. This is better than none, but this is not necessarily my tack light option. This is just my, EDC light that works really, really well. Long battery life on it, very easy to recharge, pull it down, recharge it, does what I need it to do, has a green and a red light indicator that's in there that lets me know when it's fully charged. Uh, this is a chunky flashlight. If you are not used to carrying chunky flashlights, there are other options that are out there. Having a ring that is on there is very nice. It does make it more tactical, high speed, all that good stuff. The belt clip that's on there works great. Dropped a little bit of Loctite in those screws. They've never moved on me. Uh, the light, man, this thing just takes a beating. I have dropped it. You can see the abuse that this thing has taken, and it works. I have gotten this very, very wet. It has been drenched in torrential downpours. It has been dropped in water. It works. Uh, I'm not one of these guys that is going to tell you that you have to have, this many lumens, this much. It either works or it doesn't. There are things that are nicer about having a really long throw on a lamp. There are things that are a lot nicer about having key functions and things, but for what most people need a flashlight for, it's either bright or it's not. And being able to switch between a high and a low function for self-defense things, having a strobe is nice. In that, this flashlight checks pretty well all of the boxes for me. I like it. Do I wish that it took the other kind of light ring that would just snap on? Yeah, I do. But all in all, for this thing to have the hardware that it needs to be able to recharge, they had to make this a little bit thicker. And thankfully, I was able to find this light ring and modify it to my needs. Overall, the last 9-10 months of using this, hard use, this has served my purposes very well. If you are considering a Streamlight Protac HL USB feature, I would recommend it. 9.5 out of 10. This thing works. Go do hard things.